Hello, everybody. Welcome to Winephabet Street. We are up to the letter F, and we are traveling to Italy today to discuss Frappato. And I love when we get to travel through the glass and learn all about the grape varieties. And today we have the privilege of drinking DonnaFugata Frappato. And we have Pietro Russo with us, the winemaker. So thankful that he's taking this time from this crazy season. But welcome to Winephabet Street, Season 3, letter F. We are just rolling on through.
We are.
So in case you don't know who I am Lori. My husband and I own Draceana Wines in Paso Robles. I write and podcast under the name Exploring the Wine Glass. I am a WSET Level 2 graduate, UC Davis winemaking graduate, champagne specialist, and Côte d'Aron specialist. And I have now officially taken the exam for the Spanish wine scholar and am just waiting for those results. So hopefully soon I can say Spanish wine scholar also. Yes, fingers crossed. And my co-host, Debbie.
I'm Debbie Giaquindo. I'm known as the Hudson Valley Wine Goddess. I'm a certified specialist of wine, a wine location specialist in Port and Champagne, and a wine certified sherry wine specialist. I always get that. I have to think of my initials there. I'm author of a book called Tapping the Hudson Valley, Day Trips and Weekend Itineraries, visiting all the craft beverage producers and farm markets and apple picking in the Hudson Valley. And I'm partner in a restaurant in North Wildwood, New Jersey called Trio North Wildwood. And we will be open Fridays and Saturdays right now till the end of the year. And I think that about covers it for me.
Wonderful.
Pietro?
Hello, everybody. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Lori and Debbie, for inviting me to this chat. I'm Pietro Russo, winemaker for DonnaFugata. I come from Sicily, in Marsala, exactly. I studied enology and winemaking and viticulture in north of Italy, in Conegliano Veneto, and then I took my degree in Bordeaux, in France. I have several harvests in my shoulder. I started at the age of 18, at 18 years old, so now I'm 37. I worked in France several years, so Languedoc, in Bordeaux. I worked also in the south of Spain. I worked in Piedmont, in New Zealand, so different experiences across the world. And then I came back to Sicily for work. So I came back in my town, so in my native town. So I'm very happy for this. And one more thing, I'm a student. I'm still a student, so I never stopped to study the wine because I'm in the program of the Master of Wine.
Oh, wow.
I passed the practical in 19. I have passed most of the theory, the stage 2 in 2021, and I'm waiting for my result of my single paper receipt that are appearing at the end of October. So again,
wow, that is impressive. Very impressive. And I tell you, isn't the wait time almost as stressful as the study time? Like, right? Like you study, you take the test, you do what you have to do, and then they make you wait so long to get a result.
Yeah, definitely. But we have on the other side, we have the pleasure to study what we like.
Yes.
So yes. I know, for example, preparing the practical was quite tough because at a certain point you don't enjoy too much the wine when you taste, but once you pass, then you start to again appreciate it. And now I'm in this. Then we will see what happens with the next exam.
Well, I will keep our fingers crossed for you also.
Yes. Yeah.
So we are here to talk about Frappato, and we have our little video. If Pietro, if you can just mute, because we realize that makes a difference. All right. Well, welcome everybody to Winephabet Street. And we are excited to be talking about Frappato today.
Yes. I can't wait to taste. I have not tasted it yet. I'm just staring at the glass.
Neither have I. So Debbie and I, this is our third season of this. And I would say in like season 1, oh, how we've grown. But in season 1, we would kind of already be drinking by the time we got on. And then we're like, all right, you know what? We're going to not taste until we actually get on, and we can, virtually clink glasses and say hello together. So this will be our first clink of Frappato. So slancia. Yes. I know that's not what you say in Italy, in Sicily, but I can't say anything else.
Chin
chin. Chin.
Wow, that's nice. That's really nice.
Oh, wow.
So,
I'm sorry. I just was like taken aback by how good that is. And I love being able to drink at 10 in the morning and not, say it's a bad thing.
So moving along. So DonnaFugata was founded in 1983. Can you talk about Giacomo and Gabriella and their wine experience? Because they both came from kind of wine.
Yes. Giacomo and Gabriella were the founder of DonnaFugata. Giacomo Morale was a businessman, the sales manager for his own family winery. He was the third generation running the Rallo winery that was focused on producing fortified wines at this time. The opposite, Gabriella was a teacher, an English teacher, that soon decided to move to the managing the family vineyards in Contessa Entellina. So this is the history before to launch this new adventure. The adventure started in 83, so in 1983, with their desire to build something different, something unique, focusing on new styles of wine, on fresher style for the period, and focusing on both local and autochthonous varieties. So they started in Contessa Entellina in 1983 with a very small production, first of all, and then they increased. They have seen the beginning of the success in the interest for their wine, for Sicilian wines, and then they landed in 1989 in Pantelleria, where Giacomo already used to work for the family winery. So in 1989, we have the first Passito di Pantelleria, so for DonnaFugata. And then, we had, unfortunately, Giacomo died in 2016, but in the same year, DonnaFugata expanded to other territories, in the territory of Etna and the territory of Vittoria, because it was his own desire. It was a long history. He was searching since a long time in those areas, in those appellations. And finally, in 2016, his sons, Antonio and José, have understood, have found the right place for building a winery in Vittoria. And we have purchased also some land and a winery in Etna. So So now DonnaFugata is quite covers the most appealing, most compelling appellation of Sicily, and the most interesting and intriguing DOC and terroir of Sicily.
And so now that they've expanded, are those, can you compare and contrast like why they chose those, like what the soil of Etna, volcanic, right?
Sure.
And then how does that compare to the other soil?
Well, first of all, I will introduce maybe the Sicily, because
yes,
when
please.
we talk about Sicily as a region, as a viticultural region, but actually it's much more like a continent, because it's very diversified. There is a lot of diversity, a lot of variables in the case of viticulture. So, for example, we talk about Pantelleria, that is a volcanic island in the middle of the Mediterranean Channel, where there is no tap water, so no water for irrigation, and a unique trellis system, which is the Alberello Pantesco, that is protected by the UNESCO. It's a bush vine with that is almost it grows almost at 30 to 50 centimeters from the ground, and it's the only way to cultivate in the highland with fruit terraces. So it's a heroic viticulture in a volcanic area. So this is very important. So this is in Etna, you will find again volcanic terroir, but we are in a much more continental condition at 700 up to 850 meters above sea level. We are in the northern side, northern slope of Etna, which is the most qualitative, if you want, thanks to a combination of factors, which is the wind and the protection on the south from the Etna and the north to the Nebrodi mountains, so that mitigate the effect of the rainfall. Also, the volcanic soils are very draining, so it helps the maturation of this of local varieties. And then we have other differences, for example, in the southeastern side with Vittoria, where the only DOCG of Sicily is, that is Cerasuolo di Vittoria. These are other different terroir based on marine deposits, so sandy calcareous soil, or derived from tuff, and loamy in the lower altitude. So we rise from, we have from 50 to 80 to 100 meters above sea level, and we have a lot of differences also inside this area. Is the sunniest area for Sicily, so also the driest. And then we also have another territory that is Contessa Entellina, inland, 300 to 400 meters above sea level, even 500 at some peak, even high, more inland, with a lot of temperature shift between the day and the night, 1 hour driving from the sea. So you have also the mitigating impact of the sea, of the saline air, saline sea breeze. And deeper soil, much more clayish soil, so some deep clay to clay calcareous soil. So these are, and this will give a lot of differences in terms of style of wines. If you add another variable, which are the varieties, the local varieties, then you will implement the complexity of Sicily and implement this mosaic. So, for example, we have Zibibbo or Moscato of Alexandria in Pantelleria, which is a unique Muscat grape. We have local varieties Nerello Mascalese for red and Carricante for white in Etna. We have in Vittoria Nero d'Avola and Frappato, as a red wine, red varieties. And in Contessentellina, we have much more varieties planted, not only local varieties, whites such as Catarratto, Inzolia, Grecanico, and Grillo, but also international varieties, a lot of Chardonnay plantings, Viognier, Sauvignon Blanc, which is because it's a place for, historically, a place for us for research and experimentation. And a lot of French varieties together with Nero d'Avola and Nocera, for example. So this is just in few words part of the complexity of Sicily.
Wow, it is pretty complex. Michael has a question. He wants to know, do you use rocks to protect the vines from the winds? And also, do you know how deep the roots grow?
Okay, we can talk, for example, of Pantelleria. We have, in 2016, we have dig to build our winery, a new winery. And we have found roots in these volcanic soils up to 50 meters. That is incredible.
Wow.
And because it's a very sandy, porous soil, and vines need to go deeper to find the moisture. And the way to protect from the wind, especially in Pantelleria, because we have two main winds that are the Mistral and the Scirocco, we protect by creating some, we dig some hole close to the vine, just to protect the vine from the wind and to concentrate the humidity from the night. So you can maybe find some picture of Zibibo or in our website of this trellis system, which is quite impressive and actually hard to manage. But it's these are like some holes that we dig manually to protect vines from the wind. So
cool. Very cool.
The rocks are employed in the terraces. Well, we take care of the management of management of dry walls for more than six kilometers of dry stone walls, and this part it is partially act as a protector of the wind, and in the worst scenario, where we have the highest wind in the subjected contrade, we call contrade, which are the MGA, we can put some barrier from, it's like no cane, it's a bamboo shelters inside the vineyards. So yes,
that's very cool.
We need at some point we need some protection from the wind.
Very cool. It's like in Lanzarote on the Canary Islands, they build those holes. And
not at this point. Not so but quite heroic at the same time.
That is amazing. That is amazing. And for those who are listening, I converted the meters, so that would be roots that are about 165 feet long for us.
That's pretty long.
Yes.
It's pretty deep.
Yeah. When one time that I was in Spain, we were at Villa Elena, and they actually have one of the roots that they found that's actually on their building, and so it goes all the way up the top of the building and spreads out to they've like kind of stuck it there, or it's amazing to think that these roots can travel that far. To find their water and to find the nutrients that they need. It's impressive. The things that go on that we can't see, So DonnaFugata labels, they're always so beautiful. So for example, on our Bell'Asse here, okay, can you tell us, what's the story behind them? Why, they all have, I honestly think that whenever I look online or I see bottles and I see a label, I know it's DonnaFugata, because even though it's different, images, there's that consistency between it that I always recognize.
And I also think, to add on to that, where does the name come from?
Yeah.
Okay, so there is, yes, it's true. There is always an history with each labels, and it's also true that our labels may be distinguished from the shelves, from the crowd. This is quite a positive marketing side, if you want. But what is interesting, so for example, from Bella's side, there is always a research, and Gabriella, she's the leader in this, in building the history of a label. First of all, the name Bellassai is one of the noble family of Vittoria. This was a research done by Gabriella when we decided to launch this new adventure in Vittoria. So Bellassai, that also it means too sweet, not sweet. It's too beautiful, very beautiful. It's a nice meaning for an historical, also an historical meaning and link with the territory. And then, if you want the label, also remember the peculiarities of the variety and the peculiarities, stylistical peculiarities of the wine. So you can find strawberries, the lavender, the cherry, all these little fruit and aromas that should remind you the variety. And then each label is a piece of art, because the painter is a famous artist, which is Stefano Vitale. He is from Veneto, and this is there is a long partnership with Gabriella, friendship first of all, with Gabriella, and he started the first label, La Fuga, in 1991. In Italy, which was quite astonishing for this time, where each label was quite basic. So the first label was a face of a woman, an escaping woman, so DonnaFugata, and this was quite shocking for the market. But now saw the perseverance and the desire of Gabriella to distinguish, and these are the results.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And we have another question from our viewers. Joanne would like to know, now that the trend to enjoy lighter wines, do you anticipate producing more Frappato?
So the first, I have understood the entrance, but the question is, do you?
So do you anticipate DonnaFugata producing more Frappato or more wines like the Frappato, the lighter styled wines?
Well, actually, the adventure, the challenge in Vittoria was a desire of DonnaFugata because of the unique peculiarities of this area. So already we have understood that Frappato is different. Frappato is very light, perfumed, aromatic. So this was there was a missing in our range, and it was a typical wine from a local variety. So we wanted to focus on it, not because of the market, but because of our cover this historical place and typical production. So we are trying to work on this direction and to respect the typicity of Frappato and the typicity of Cerasuolo, as for the typicity of Etna and the other part where we work on.
The bolder wines.
Yeah. So your wines are all, still confirmed as the most awarded nationally and internationally. That's quite an accomplishment. So, congratulations on that. kudos to you. Go ahead,
Like,
Lori.
I just to say, so like it's not just a one-hit wonder. You are producing wine after wine with incredible ratings and incredible, awards. So is that how much, there's always the you can't make great wine from bad grapes type thing, but is how much do you do in the winery to this fruit, or are you just basically that's just the phenomenal terroir that DonnaFugata has found and the plantings?
Well, I would say first of all, you need absolutely perfect grapes to produce so healthy, good grapes from the best terroir to produce something distinguishable and something that consumers can remember. So I think I'm in DonnaFugata since 2010. I always counted, so every harvest is different, so you have to manage this variability year by year. But I can tell you that I can confirm that the pursuit of quality is a never-ending process. Sometimes you reach the perfect goal, sometimes not. But at the end, you understand from this also from the bad vintages or from the mistakes that you do, and you try to improve the quality of the year or the following year. So but sometimes we get some reward from it, so we are happy at the same time.
Now, DonnaFugata has estate fruit. Do you also source fruit, and how do you find those vineyards that you have these relationships with?
Well, we have planted in Sicily. We have more than 400 hectares now. So most of the production comes from our estate. So, for example, 70 hectares in Etna, around 40 in Vittoria, another 40 something in Etna. So it's quite important. Our surface is important for our production. Then sometimes we need to follow some supplier, some old suppliers, old contractors, where we follow the quality. We follow first of all the vineyards, and we decide what to do during harvest time, the perfect picking time. So it's a long history with the historical supplier. In case of we don't have enough grapes for our wine. For example, in Vittoria we have new plantings. We still don't have enough grapes, so we need to ask some supplier. And the same for in Etna. This is even more interesting because some supplier have very old vineyards, so this can be interesting also in this sense. So yes, but we try to concentrate under our control, not only our vineyards but also the vineyards from the suppliers in the case of them.
So because you have wineries in the 4 different areas of Sicily, do they each specialize in a specific wine style, a specific grape? Are they different? Do they process in that area, or do you bring them all to one major place to process?
Well, as I said, if you want, we get the same approach across these territories, but the several variabilities inside this land already make the differences. It's impossible to replicate the same things in this area. So climate, soils, altitude and exposure, and then you had the local varieties which are different. And if you add also the winemaking approach that can change. So we try to differentiate, but the nature of the things, the nature of the terroir already guide us through a direction that also led to a different road compared to another territory. I will tell you one example. We grow Nero d'Avola both in Vittoria and in Contessentellina, but they're completely different. Nero d'Avola from this deep clay soil, this calcareous soil, has deep color, dark berry, so dark and blue berry aromas, and more spicy, and a lot of tannins. While, for example, the Nero d'Avola from Vittoria, where we produce also a single Nero d'Avola Vittoria DOC, is definitely paler in color, much more lifted in aromatics, and with also high acidity, but lovely freshness and soft tannins. So two completely different styles, which we cannot replicate things.
Now, you have the different areas, but are you processing in a single facility? Because you just recently built a new winery. Right? So are you processing in a single winery, or do each of these locations have their own processing?
Okay, each territory has its own winery, winery to process the grapes. This is due in order to shorten the time between the picking and the maceration on the processing of the varieties of the grapes, to reduce oxidation, because we are in a Mediterranean, quite sub-desertic area across Sicily. Most of it is sub-desertic. So oxidation, temperature, we can get much more control by having the vineyards close to the winery. So we have a winery to process the grape in Contessentellina, one in Pantelleria for the Zibibbo grapes, one in Vittoria that we have built in 2018, so just brand new, and one winery in Etna, and this was a winery from a few producers. So it's kind of a small cooperative, which we have restored according to our desire. So nowadays it's a very interesting place to work with. And there is another complication, or if you want, a necessary legislation rule that require the processing, but also the vinification and the bottling in the specific area of production. So, for example, we bottle Etna DOC in Randazzo, in the area of production. We bottle Cerasuolo di Vittoria in Vittoria, in Acate, where our winery is. And the same in Contessentellina for the DOC Sicily.
So do you have winemakers in each of these areas as well?
We are two, let's say, old winemakers, senior winemakers in Marsala. In Marsala, we have also the headquarters of the technical department, where we have the laboratory for the quality control. And we try to concentrate the decision here in Marsala. So we have almost each day the samples from all the wineries in Marsala to decide what we have to do with the grapes.
And this is a random question, but how far apart are each of these areas?
So imagine in Marsala to Pantelleria, it's 40 minutes flight.
Oh.
Or 6 hours by boat. 6 hours by ferry boat. Vittoria is 3 hours and a half, 3 hours from Marsala, and Etna is 4 hours driving.
Oh,
So
wow.
It's pretty spread out.
long distances, long.
That would be very difficult on the grapes. Get into
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Wow. Wow. Well, we are ready to talk about this wine, go a little bit more in depth into this wine. So once again, we have DonnaFugata Winery Vittoria DOC Frappato from Sicilia. And let's talk about this wine. We have vintage 2020 is what we are tasting. It is very fresh.
Yes.
It is very fresh. And, you know, I have to say, I thought the label was beautiful, but I didn't catch on that it was what you get out of the wine. Like that is so clever. It really is clever. It is. So tell us about how you made this wine, the processing that it went through. I'm assuming, although I learned a long time ago, you shouldn't assume, but mostly stainless because of the freshness. So how do you produce this fruit or produce this wine?
So Frappato comes from our estate. Again, it's some few suppliers. We destem the grapes and we put inside the vats, so only stainless steel vats. We try to reach a temperature of 14 to 16 degrees at the beginning. So once you destem, then all these pomace go inside an heat exchanger. It's called the heat exchanger, which cool the grapes, so cool the pomace up to 14, 16 degrees. With this process, we can allow the grapes to make a short cold soak of 2 to 3 days. And this cold soak help us to achieve more aromatics, more stability of the color. So it's a cold soak. It's a period in which fermentation doesn't start, but you extract in an aqueous phases. So you extract anthocyans. You extract color and aromas from the skin, and then we let the temperature rise up to 24 to 26 degrees for the fermentation, and the maceration with the skins. So with this pomace took up to 8 to 10 days, no more, because we don't have to extract too much from this pomace. You don't have too much tannins to extract. It's very delicate. While if you go too long on the extraction, the maceration, you will lose maybe the more fresher aromas, the primary aromas of the variety. So we try to keep it more tighter and closer to the wine, and so we rack. So we separate the wine at the end of the fermentation, this maceration, from the pomace, and we have the malolactic fermentation that is done again in stainless steel. And it is we age this wine for 4 months, or more or less 4 to 6 months, and one more passage in bottle before the release. So the idea is to concentrate the aromatics, the delicacy of the variety on the bottle, and just to keep it more on it. And for this is the reason of the stainless steel. It's the only way to preserve the freshness, while the oak will cover these aromas, this delicacy, and will give another style of Frappato, which is for us is not interesting.
Interesting is a wonderful word for it, because to me, it is so fresh. It is the acidity is kind of like medium, in there. It's not overly salivating, but it's definitely holding the structure together. And I'm getting like a little bit, the image is showing strawberries. I'm getting a little bit of darker fruit than that, but very bright, darker fruit. And there's something in there that Deb, I don't know if you could help me out. There is a note that is absolutely beautiful, but my brain is not telling me what it is.
On the nose, I kind of get like on the finish, a mellow spice.
Yes, that's what I can't figure out exactly.
I don't know what it is. It's not like a cinnamon.
And it's not a nutmeg.
No, yeah. But there's a soft spice. That's the best way that I can describe it.
Pietro, what do you get when you taste this wine?
Well, I will add also some floral side in the nose.
Yes.
So
yes.
Rose petal, violet is very, as you said, bright. I like bright, fruity aromas, and touch of herbal lift, kind of mintedness too. And then in the palate, as you said, acidity is not high; it's more medium, but there is a lovely freshness to the palate. It's refreshing with juicy, soft tannins, quite low tannic profile.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And the palate, again, the aftertaste is again on the fruit, on the floral side. And this spiciness, again, of cinnamon that you said, but a lot of fruit coming again in the palate.
It is beautiful. It is a nice, for those, so we have a couple of people who said that they actually did hunt around for Frappato. Poor Michael drove all over trying to find it and couldn't find any Frappato. So he's asking if you know where it gets distributed in the Western coast in California. But we can probably find that out and get that to Michael later. But it's
easy to get. You have a web locator on our website.
There you go,
perfect.
Michael.
You go.
I can't ask for easier than that. That is perfect. Maybe you would have saved some gas if you had looked there first. Poor Michael, there's nothing near him. He's got to drive very far to get to anywhere. But yes, it is a beautiful wine that is light and just enjoyable. I think that it can, you can just sit and enjoy the day with.
I'm really liking this, and it's 1 o'clock here, 1:30 now. So
game on. Now, there has been some thought that Frappato actually originated in the Iberian Peninsula and then made its way over to Sicily. And then others believe that Ragusa is its homeland. So what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, my thoughts are based on the research of that historian, but also ampelographist. I don't know if this
ampelography
has done just recently. So from a genetics standpoint, Frappato should be the son of Sangiovese. So Sangiovese, the father, and Frappato is a direct son of Sangiovese. And for example, a brother of Frappato is the Gaioppo from Calabria, another ancient red variety. So this means that this is a local varieties. It's a local variety. It's a native variety. And this is also supported by the history, by the writers of the 70s, because it was described already during the 17th century in Sicily, cultivated in among Ragusa province, especially in Ragusa and Syracuse province. but it's with the focus on Vittoria already at those time. So this amplifies the suggestion, the idea that it is an old native variety from Sicily and not from other places. At least for Frappato, we can say this.
Beautiful. And then we do have a question from Karen. She wants to know, you discussed that the Frappato is made in stainless steel, but she's curious if you make all of your red grapes processed through stainless steel, or are some of your other wines, red wines, using oak?
So in terms of maceration, so the fermentation took place always in stainless steel, while for some varieties, some styles, we prefer the aging in barriques.
Okay.
Second passage barriques, second, third passage barriques, for example, for Nerello Mascalese in Etna, on our red Etna DOC, because Nerello needs, it's a much more tannic variety that needs to smooth, but we use more neutral oak, neutral seasoned barriques, just to don't cover too much the aromatics that are delicate and to don't oxidate, because it's a very delicate variety. While, for example, reds from Contestantellina are much more structured, fuller bodied, more tannic, and these grapes require some aging in oak, new French barriques, such as for Nero d'Avola, or our Syrah blend, which is the Milano Notte. It's 100% new French barriques for 14 months. So we differentiate the process, we differentiate the method of production according to the winemaking needs and according to the style that we want to produce.
Beautiful. Thank you.
So Frappato is mostly found in the southeastern coast of Sicily. Is it grown anywhere else in Italy or even the world?
I would say no. I mean,
Yeah.
it's at least up to today. I know it's only cultivated in Sicily. You used to have the provinces of Ragusa and Syracuse as historical places. Now we found a little bit. We have around 1,000 hectares in Sicily, across Sicily. But we have some plantings, some vineyards in other provinces such as Trapani and Palermo. But the core vineyards are really in across Vittoria, in the Vittoria area of the DOCG, Cerasuolo di Vittoria and DOC Vittoria.
So it's pretty much indigenous to...
In the world, I would say this is a very interesting variety for climate change, to respond to climate change. So maybe people can, or winemakers from all over the world can look at it, as they have already done for Nero d'Avola in Australia and in California also, or with some Fiano or Catarratto plantings across the world. I would say Frappato can respond very well to drought by keeping a lot of natural acidity and keeping its freshness. So also in sandy soils and with the drought subdesertic conditions, such as in Sicily, southeastern side, we still have such a pleasant, enjoyable wine and delicate, with an unexpected delicacy and freshness.
And so you actually just answered my next question of to what is the climate that Frappato likes. It does like
soil.
Yeah. And you had said sandy soil. So you said these are bush vines. So are they on natural roots since it's sandy? Did they not get affected?
You can find both bush vine and vertical shoot position, some VSP canopy. We have predominantly vertical shoot position, and two main types of soil, which are the sandy soils upper on the hills, or in the lower parts are more loamy soil. this give place to two different style of Frappato, but these are the predominant. While in clay soil, it doesn't act so well.
Is it early or late ripening the grape?
It has a quite long phenological season. So I would say it has a long ripening season. So it's a late late
Early.
ripening.
So when
It's
would
early,
you typically,
right?
in a perfect world, when would you typically harvest it?
We are picking now.
You're picking now? Okay.
So if you think that we are picking now in Acate, we have almost finished in Contessentellina. So for us, we have already 40 days, more than this. So 50, more than 50, 55 to 60 days of picking.
Wow.
And we have just started to pick Frappato.
Okay.
So it's a late ripening variety.
Okay.
And now it's known to have tight clusters. So does this lend itself to being mold, mildew, you predisposed to it? Like, what are some of the concerns in the vineyard? And then what are some of the concerns in the winery? Is it oxidate? Is it prone to oxidation? What are your concerns as you're making it?
So the main
season?
concern for viticulturalists is that it's a low yielding variety. So this is the main issue from a productive point of view. Again, the fact that it produces low, it is a compact, small bunches and quite compact. And when yields are low, vines tend to compensate these bunches, so by enlarging the berries. So it naturally increase the size of the berries, and in these compact bunches, then it tends to open, to crush, and to enter the rot and to enter mold. So this is quite prone to rot, to gray rot. So we need a lot of work in the vineyard. Well, a lot. First of all, you need to plant in the right places. So not too much water. So the control of vigor is important. Then the leafing is important also to increase the air circulation across the bunch zone. And one of the positive things in terms of viticulture, it has a very vertical shape of the canopy. So it's one of the unique, one of the only varieties that has a very vertical shape that help also this air circulation and reducing the risk of botrytis. And then for sure, the risk in terms of winemaking, this is a variety that is due to this delicacy and this dominated primary aromas. It's a variety with a high tendency to oxidation.
Oh.
So for this reason, we pick only with the small crates, or in beans, and fast processing, and only stainless steel with using inert gases to preserve from oxygen intake. This is very important.
Very
Then another one of the maybe a tendency. So Frappato has a tendency during winemaking to reduction. So after the fermentation, it tends to go into off flavors such as reduction, rotten eggs, and cabbage. So this always a delicate play of the winemakers to counterbalance the risk of oxidation and risks of mercaptans of off flavor, which can derivate from reduction.
Wow.
So maybe we do one more rackings to avoid gross lees and so on. And
Wow.
Wow.
Stressful.
Yeah, very. So Frappato is blended with Nero d'Avola to produce Sicily's only DOCG wine, Sarah, and I probably can't pronounce this right, Sarasolo di Vittoria.
Sarasolo di Vittoria. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. What is the percentage that each wine contributes, and does it vary every year depending on, you know, the harvest and what the grapes bring, or is it has to be a certain percentage of each wine every year?
Yeah, the percentage is fixed by the rule, but the highest percentage is fixed by the rule of Frappato inside the Cerasolo di Vittoria, which is 40% maximum of Frappato and 60% Nero d'Avola.
Oh, okay.
So you can get more Nero d'Avola than this, but no more Frappato than 40%.
So it can change every year, but it can't be more than 40% and
Definitely, yes.
Frappato and more than 60%.
It can change, and we change the percentage according to the style also that we want. According to the stylistic guide of the year, because the blending partner is Nero d'Avola is quite is really at the opposite of Frappato. It play more on the fruit, on the red and black fruit. It has a lot of acidity, quite high acidity, and more higher tannins too. So the blending partner, Frappato, because it adds more delicacy, more floral aromas, it smooths the acidity, and it resolves a bit the palate texture. So it makes more approachable and more complex at the same time, but no more than 40%. While you can get 100% Frappato in a Vittoria DOC, which is Bella Sai that we are testing now.
And then can you do a Nero d'Avola in Vittoria?
You can also do a Nero d'Avola Vittoria DOC, and we produce another label, in fact, which is Passi Perduti, which is Contessa dei Venti, that we launched in Dust Vinitaly in the beginning of April.
Okay.
So we will focus on the single varieties, Nero d'Avola, Frappato from Vittoria DOC, and then the blend which is the historical, the most typical way of production in the area, which is the blend of Nero d'Avola and Frappato.
Okay, perfect. So to clarify to everybody, what we are drinking, the DonnaFugata Belasai, is 100% Frappato. So this is from the Vittoria DOC. So this is allowed to be Frappato, where the Sarasuolo Vittoria DOC has to be the blend. Has to be the blend. Perfect.
And that's the only, I believe, DOCG in Sicily?
It's the only, yes.
Yes.
True.
Yes. So I read that the Guyot method of pruning is used for Frappato. Can you explain that? What type of pruning that is?
Yes. Type of pruning. Okay, we mostly prune. So which you mean? Which kind of pruning we apply for the?
So, yes. So like, how many buds are you cutting back to?
Okay. So Frappato, as I said, given the fact that it's a compact bunch, for this variety, we prefer to use the Guyot method of pruning. Guyot method of pruning is a method where you have a permanent trunk, a cane of 6 to 8 buds, which is the fruitful area. This cane will produce the shoots, which are with the fruits, And then a small spur with two buds at the opposite side. So one side the spur and on the other side the cane, which is attached to the wire of the trellis system. And on the spur we have two buds, and this is to renovate the next year the cane. So the next year you will cut the long cane. And from the two shoots that you have on the spur, you will reestablish one long cane that you will put again in the same direction. And you will have again, you reestablish the spur with two buds.
Okay.
It looks complicated. It looks complicated, but it's actually visually it's much more easy.
Is that like the Vara and Polgar in Jerez?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I was associating it with.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Guillot is probably the most diffused, together with the cordon spurred vertical shoot position. So we prefer this this pruning system because it produces looser bunches.
Okay. Compared
to the cordon spurred pruning system. The cordon spur is where you have a permanent trunk, an horizontal, so you have the vertical part and then the horizontal trunk with a permanent, which is the permanent, right. The old trees, if you want, the old wood, where each 15 to 20 centimeters you have a short spur of 2 to 3 buds.
Right.
Okay. And you renovate year by year the spur by cutting on top. This produces, if you want, more balanced dimension of bunches, but more compact, smaller and more compact, which is not, which can be risky in the case of Frappato.
Okay. Awesome. And then, so we're enjoying this wine, and as I said, you can just sit back and enjoy the day with the Frappato. But what do you suggest pairing? What are some of your favorite pairings with the Frappato?
So first of all, this peculiarity, the freshness, this delicacy of aromas, it's an unusual red because allow to chill it a bit. Mm-hmm. You can chill a bit. So if normal temperature for red it's 16 to 18 degrees, maybe you can chill at 14 degrees Celsius, 15 to 16, 14, 15 degrees Celsius to enjoy this freshness. So you can have with appetizer, mm-hmm. With Sicilian entree, maybe some caponate, some vegetable with. It's cooked vegetable with which are sour and bitter, thanks to the vinegar, sweet and bitter. Sorry, thanks to the vinegar. Or you can even pair with savory pasta dishes as the first courses, easily with anchovy pasta from Palermo if you want, or you can go up to the fishes, so fish course. And fish course can be tuna. We have done a lot of pairings in the winery to show to consumers, to show to our clients, it's a red that you can pair with a fish. Okay. And even with an important fish like the red tuna, which is typical again from the Mediterranean, from here in Marsala. But also swordfish or other blue fishes. So it's a very polyhedric, flexible variety, flexible wine to pair with. You can enjoy in your boat during summertime. Just without nothing. I mean,
right.
I'm enjoying it. So what would be the 3 takeaways that you would want people to remember about Frappato as we start to wind down this webinar and podcast?
Well, I think, first of all, the peculiarities of the variety. So it's unique style. This floral attitude, this delicacy of aromas, and the pleasant is very approachable. I will not say that it's a crowd pleaser, but it has quite an approach. It has a character that can be understood by the consumers, by a lot of consumers. The most engaged consumers, by people who love, who fall in love with Gamay or Pinot Noir like style, but also people who usually don't drink wine, but can be attracted by the easy aromas that can remind. Also, the fact that it's smooth and with a soft acidity and soft tannins, that this can be much more approachable also for novices. So I think this is one of the most important things. Pairings, I think this is another characteristic of the variety that I will focus on. So you can enjoy by itself, but you can enjoy also with something more distinctive, more characterful, more savory. That is not maybe typical for a red wine, and served chill.
So Karen actually just returned from Italy, where she found that they served red wines chilled, even like really bold red wines. Do they serve? She wants to know if they serve red chilled in Sicily, and is this a new trend to serve red wines chilled?
I think you can chill the right red. I will not chill every red, because if you go with a fuller bodied, deep and tannic varieties and tannic wines, then you will lose the pleasure. You will have much more astringency, and you will lose also the aromatics. While this is already much more undertone in a positive way, much more. It is a subdued aromas that go well with also few degrees of temperature. And then the third takeaway, this is a local variety, and this variety responds very well to climate change. So it's a sustainable variety. These are sustainable wines produced from unique terroir. So this respect the area of production, this respect also the place and the people who work in this area, because they are still growing something that is from their place. We don't need to adapt, but because already Frappatto is adapted to this condition, and it's resistant to drought with very low water input in the vineyard. And I mean, it's a pleasure to drink.
I agree.
With the medium acid and lower tannin, what is your recommended drink window? How long do you think Frappatto can?
Yeah, this is an important question. I will not hold too much these wines. I will enjoy this wine in their use up to 1.5 years, maybe 2 years. This will be still drinkable, will still enjoyable in their fruit, in the primary aromas. I will not go further. We have much more structured wines for keeping in your wine cellar.
So just a question though, because this is a 2020. So by your processing, right, you're holding it for like 6 months and then 6 months in barrel. So is this your current release, or is 2021 also out there?
Yeah, 2020 is still in good shape, actually.
Oh, it's in beautiful shape.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
is 2021 released already?
Yes,
Yeah,
it
okay.
will be in the US. Not sure because we have released recently in Italy, so it will be
A little delayed to
released
get to
probably
here.
in the maybe for autumn, the
Well,
next winter, probably in or even earlier in the
yeah,
US.
well, for me, this 2020, it's beautiful. It's
Yes, me
definitely
too.
in a prime.
We can
It's
say 3 years, but drink. Don't talk too much this wine and enjoy.
enjoy now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Enjoy. Well, you've already told us that. So for everybody who would like to find out more about DonnaFugata, you can go to their website, which I believe is just donnafugata.com. And I know it has English and Italian up there, so you can just click for us. We can just click Italian. I mean English.
You can click Italian.
We can click Italian.
You can learn Italian, also German, also in German.
And German, okay. And so they can find that out there. We learned that there is the locator, so you can find out where they are, where the wines are found. And for the people in the chat, I will reach out to the PR company to find out specifically where you are, because a couple of them are getting not available in your area. So maybe we can find out how they can get their hands on this wonderful wine. And, Pietro, I just want to say thank you so much
Yes,
for
thank you.
joining
Sorry
us.
about the dog barking.
Joining us in this very hectic time, and raise a glass to a fantastic and very successful remainder of your harvest.
Yes.
And thank you for sharing Frappato with us.
Yes,
Chin
thank
chin.
you.
I hope you
Have a
enjoy
great
our
night.
wine, our
Cheers.
Sicilian wine. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you.